Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another rant. This time I want to go in depth in what actually inspired me to become a content creator, as you can tell by the title. I didn't just wake up the next day and decide to do YouTube. A lot of it had to do with my childhood past, my experience, based on my hobbies and interests, like you see in my browser, in my main page. If you read my biography, I was um, I was definitely influenced by a lot of anime, especially like from the late 90s, early 2000s. We're talking about the Shonen Jump series. If you can read on the front of your screen and look at what I've mentioned, um, and it helped me go through a long way in making me the content creator that I am today. I'm still to this day very surprised at what I accomplished on my own. And especially if I don't mean on my own, but without you guys, I need the support, which encouraged me to keep pushing and continue forward and make something out of myself. And I feel that now, at this point, I've become an influencer where I can actually have people not only admire me, but be educated, but based on what I post and what I say, that you can appreciate so you can learn in the upcoming future if you decide to become someone like me that enjoys making videos that involves anime, doing rants and podcasts, skits, playing Yu-Gi-Oh. But like you already know from the beginning, but the Black Saiyan archetype, I want to go straight into that. I'm not gonna take. I'm not gonna go in too much depth, but I'm gonna add some like very accurate points. When I decided to create the Black Saiyan archetypes, I was even thinking to myself, especially when Dragon Ball Z one is one of the newer and was one of the more recent anime that I watched when I was a kid. Looking into the fight between Goku and Frieza, and then going back and then realizing the Saiyans could transform into monkeys. I couldn't, and then when I grew up, I can help but realize that like when around ages of 10, 11, somehow the Saiyans remind me of black people, whether you may refer them as African Americans, and Frieza as I don't want to say the word, WS, white supremacist. I don't want to be too inappropriate because I don't want to get this video hit. But the logic behind it, because the Saiyans, even though they were oppressing other planets, they were also heavily oppressed by Frieza. They were doing exactly what he said because there's how much power he had. But then Frieza realized that the Saiyans were going way too strong, and he didn't want to have them any slight bit of power that could overthrow him. So he wanted to make sure they were at their minimal. So realizing not only do they have the power to turn into Zarus, they can further increase their power level the more they fight. So that's when Frieza attempted to commit genocide, destroy planet Vegeta, and his plan was to exterminate all Saiyans, making sure that, except Vegeta, because he felt he was very loyal, he and Raditz and Appa, but Vegeta was his most loyal servant. So it's like he needs a Saiyan to control and manipulate in order for to have someone that he could rely on to do his bidding. But the more I think about it, like me as a kid, thinking and having second thoughts of making the Black Saiyan archetype is a very similar situation like in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX when Jaden was a young kid and he decided to create the Neos cards, the Neospatian cards. You notice with the drawings, he had a picture, and then it was like this crazy theory that um, Kaiba would take one of your card ideas. I don't know if Jaden gave the card effects, wrote a message, what the card effects should have, but it was for a contest that it was a crazy theory that uh, if one of the cards were to be sent to the cosmos, outer space, chances are they want to find out if aliens. He wants to find out if aliens are real, and if they do exist, that this somehow that the monsters that you make would come to life, in which it did, because that explains the whole Yubel incident, Neos coming to life, the Neospatians, and then they were formed by the good part of Chaos. Well, Yubel was formed by the bad side of Chaos. And let me show you the anime that heavily influenced me. I'm sure you're well aware. Naruto Shippuden, One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh, Inuyasha, Gundam Wing, Fairy Tail, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, and here's one of the Black Sand cards I mentioned. Again, this card is also iconic for the Black Sand archetype that I created. The thing was, when I was to create the Black Sand cards, I want to make sure their names are different. They all had different color skin. Obviously, they're all black. And the idea behind it, the strategy, was that pretty much all the main deck monsters were all warrior level 8 in dark attribute. And the logic behind it is that you have a lot of trading targets, you have a lot of Allure Darkness targets, and their type as well as attribute and level makes them more accessible because of how popular they are. Warriors are also very popular because of the Assault combo, but you can't really go into Rhoda. You can't really use Rhoda into them. That would be really good if they include level 8s, but unfortunately not. But I think even if you were to have them go toe to toe with Kashtira, if Kashtira had a Rise Heart, yeah, I feel like Kashtira would have an overwhelming advantage against the Black Sands. But one thing I really like about the Black Sand archetype, I want to go straight in depth about their effects. Usually their effects is like, it sounds a little broken, but a lot of them don't have an inherent summons, so that's also the reason why. But a lot of times when they attack into an opponent's monster, they're always 100 points stronger. And the logic behind is that like, because from what I learned from watching Dragon Ball Z, the Saiyans tend to get stronger every time they fight. So instead of making it every time they battle, it's only every time they attack. So you could say they already are going from a regular Saiyan to Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan God, Ultra Instinct, whatever you decide to refer to that, because they are transcending. The stronger the monster they're fighting, or the opponent's monster, whoever they're up against, doesn't matter. They're always going to be 100 points stronger, but again, a lot of times they don't have inherent summons, but it's like, I would say it's only half, but I haven't really showed all the cards because I don't want to take too long. But you guys get the gist of it. Let us move forward. Let me give you some explanations. What anime have influenced me? Obviously, the Dragon Ball Z fight between Frieza and Goku. I'm pretty sure that fight lasted like for 30, 40 episodes, but till this day is a very interesting fight. It's definitely, I would say Dragon Ball Z is one of the first animes that I watched when I was a very young kid, late 90s, and I didn't know too much about it. I thought it was a cartoon, but I would say it's heavily anime. But just looking at this fight, but I think before I saw this, I think the first thing I saw was Goku and Piccolo versus Raditz. I had no clue where Raditz came from. I thought he somehow was from Earth. I was dumb as a kid. I didn't know any better. But obviously, he was just willing to kill Goku. He had no plans of taking him and considering him, being concerned towards his younger brother, because he realized Goku just failed to destroy the planet Earth, and now it's his right to do the job. And there was a lot of manipulation, but Frieza, he was still to this day one of the best villains because of how powerful he is, how menacing he is. He's ruthless, and if you were to bring him any uh, any anime universe, just outright kills the protagonist. Like, not every anime, but the majority. I probably, if I were to include One Punch Man, who knows? He may get one punch, or it's maybe evenly matched. Who knows? But again, you guys, I'm sure a lot of people were like, millions of people are aware about this fight. This built a lot of suspense. it felt like it lasted for a year. Consider how long the fight was. 30 to 40 episodes. I could tell you just that's how long it was, because it wasn't like he was entirely fighting him as a Super Saiyan, but the amount of process they had to go through, what was going through Goku's mind, what what Frieza, when Frieza was gonna fall, when will it be the end? Him killing Krillin was definitely out of line. And that's when he transcended to a Super Saiyan, and he for sure Goku thought, because Frieza went as far as killing Krillin, that he was willing to not spare him at the least. But again, Goku broke his promise because he's a nice guy. He started to spare his energy, but then when Frieza didn't care, didn't refuse to take offer to Goku's generosity, he tried attacking from behind. Goku retaliates, counters it with a blast, and he says, "You fool!" with Kamehameha, and we assume Frieza's dead, but he was floating outer space because his race can survive when floating outer space. And then he was retrieved by King Cold, and then made him into a robot, an android, machine, whatever. But the thing was, even as Frieza was a machine, it suppressed his energy, and he was not strong as he could not gain as much power, considering with the whole him being rebuilt as and modified. So it's like all those parts, he could not increase his power level, and he would stay the way he was. Sure, he's still very powerful. He probably didn't realize he didn't need to increase his power level, but at the same time, it would heavily affect him, especially in the long run, because you don't know what other strong foe will appear. So Frieza needs to be aware, and you know what, Super kind of did it for him. So let's go to some other important anime that have influenced me. Yu-Gi-Oh for sure. I'm not gonna lie, when I was a kid, I actually did not like it at first. I thought I was confused, but just by watching Duelist Kingdom, Battle City, I realized how enjoyable it was. And obviously, Yu-Gi was a massive cheater. The gods had massive, great artwork. But overall, this show also inspired me to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's how I even learned playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the first place. I feel the most epic duel was Yu-Gi versus Darts. As you know, so I post a lot of Orichalcos clips. And in the beginning, I thought Merrick was okay. It was a good duelist before, but then looking back, and then I realized he wasn't that great of a duelist. He was more of just trying to make his opponent strong. He was just using shadow magic to help him, even though he's been controlled by Yami Merrick. But Kaiba, there was never a time he used magic or he cheated. Obviously, he had the money, but I feel like he was definitely Yuki's best rival, in my opinion, because he would constantly persist. He would not. He would be, and even though I'm not sure whether he had honor since he ripped the blue eyes, but he was one of those opponents where it's like he would never heavily rely on checks to win. He wanted to show Yuki prove to himself that he's capable with the deck that he has, and based on his knowledge, intelligence, and that he feels that he's earned that title from the amount of like struggle, the amount of effort, and his dedication to duel monsters. There's already have said enough, but if it wasn't for like the Millennium items, I feel like that definitely heavily impact the show as well and made the duels really unpredictable, unfair. But again, there's more to come. But as you may notice, I've actually watched almost users. I feel like without the anime, I wouldn't learn so far. And then the last anime I want to talk about is One Piece. Definitely One Piece influenced me because of the Devil Fruit. And I want to go back to Dragon Ball Z because I do in my skits, the transformation, me going to Super Saiyan, Ultra Instinct, um, Ultra Ego. Here you see me go Joy Boy, but how One Piece influenced me because of the massive creativity, the innovation, the amount of the stuff that they showcased, adventure, and just a lot more characters. So that gave me the idea to just keep pushing and like move forward and not give up on my dreams. One Piece is one of the ones that actually heavily impacted me because it makes you realize to keep chasing for your dreams and not follow them, and just strive for success. That's what One Piece is doing right now because it's still ongoing. And like you noticed, the Joy Boy is also the transformation. Even though Kensai was an anime, it was definitely very epic. But when I started doing it, I felt epic myself, and I felt like I made the most out of it. Especially considering I was doing skits, and you guys got to witness me doing the transitioning, the fighting, and playing the character as well. But even though I'm not saying I'm Monkey D. Luffy, but me having to use the Gear 5 transformation on my own just made me feel really incredible, and I give 100% credit for the One Piece as well as Ichiro Oda, and that and with that, had I not been influenced, had I not learned, had I not watched the series as well as the other animes, include obviously going to include One Piece and all the other shows that I showed you, but I feel like this also heavily impacted me, including Yu-Gi-Oh! Dragon Ball Z. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check for more upcoming content in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.